Hello and welcome to this module of the Life Vision Project. I'm Dr. Gilles Lamarche, your host today, and with me, Dr. Patrick Gentempo. Patrick, welcome to Getting Clear on the Philosophy That Drives You.
Thank you. Happy to be here and my favorite subject.
So you've often said that philosophy is the foundation on which each person builds their lives. Can you explain that a little bit further?
Yeah, we had done another module where I explained this, so at the risk of being a little bit redundant, everybody has a philosophy, and that philosophy is driving your choices and actions. The only choice you have is whether or not you're conscious of that philosophy and living it consciously and refining it to create alignment so that you create expanding or increasing success, or if you are unconscious to it. And and you have sort of these demons, if you will, that are pushing things along in your life and creating maybe potholes and destruction around you, and you wonder why you have bad luck. So everybody has a philosophy. Philosophy is the greatest tool for success that there is, meaning it's the most practical thing a human being can hope to embrace. And if you understand the practical application of philosophy in life, then you can utilize philosophy in a way to grow your life. And if not, then you're going to pretty much end up with kind of these cycles of things get better, things get worse, things get better, things get worse, and there's no real traction and path in your life that's leading you to higher ground on an ongoing basis.
So you've spent years studying philosophy, you've spent years crafting your life vision. I know you've been to Lifebook with your wife, and you've worked so diligently at discovering that. Can you share with the audience your professional life vision?
Well, I have the thing to get really clear on is what is your purpose, and so in a nutshell, my purpose is to enliven humanity, right? So in my career life vision, it's about enlivening humanity. So if you go to my website for my company, which is actionpotentialholdings.com, there's nothing there for you to buy, so I'm not sending anybody there. It just shows you what we do. If you go to our core values, you will see the core values that we live by as an organization. So we have about 8 holdings right now, and what I do is I invest in and help develop companies that are aligned with my values. Most of this is done through chiropractic. I'm a chiropractor. I've been in chiropractic for over 30 years, and I believe that what aligns, or why I've stuck in the profession, continue to work in the profession as hard as I do work in the profession, is to advance it, is because that the values of chiropractic as a philosophy align with my personal values and my career values. So these two things line up. So I'm a not only a chiropractor, but I'm a chiropractic advocate in a very large scale. And I've worked hard over the years to help tens of thousands of chiropractors succeed so that they can help enliven humanity in their own communities. So chiropractic is an enormously leverageable career, where through the simple act of the chiropractic adjustment, I didn't say it's easy, I didn't say it's not complex, I'm just saying it's simple once you've mastered it. But through the simple act of the chiropractic adjustment, you can transform people's lives on a daily basis, and you can make it affordable so that you can become a multimillionaire and people can gain really robust health and a better life, and the ripple effects of that are pretty extraordinary. So the context of the philosophy of vitalism, and looking at the world vitalistically and recognizing the application called chiropractic all align for me. So my career vision is to enliven humanity, and there's multiple ways that we approach that, and we do that. And when you're clear on that, and you create core values and you have a foundational philosophy, then your career actions start to become easier as far as how to make decisions, yes or no, based on those factors.
So what are some of the steps that you took that our audience today could start taking themselves to really bridge that gap between where they are and where they want to go, especially to help them discover where the contradictions might lie and how they can get beyond that to really get into a space where they are living their life vision from a strong philosophical premise to start off with?
Well, it comes down to really learning philosophy, and it's not something you can overview kind of what philosophy is and sort of give the tour that we're giving right now, but it requires some effort on everybody's part. Like I said, I've been at it for over 30 years, and it's a never-ending thing. You just go deeper and with it, and as you evolve in it, you become more successful in your life and however you define success. So probably the easiest thing I could do, I could explain the overview. There are 5 branches of philosophy: metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, politics, and aesthetics. They're sequential in nature, meaning metaphysics is your view of the nature of reality. It asks the question, where am I? Epistemology is your theory of knowledge. It asks the question, how do I know it? And then ethics provides a human being with a code of values and therefore will be a guide to your actions. So it answers the question, so now what do I do? Or ask the question, you would answer that through ethics. Then you have politics, which is taking ethics, which is your moral code as an individual, and applying it to social functions. And then aesthetics, which is the artistic representation of your philosophical views. So how does it express? Chiropractic, the aesthetic is technique. We take everything we learn as chiropractors, and then it's the culmination of it is expressed through your adjustment to the patient. And you could see how if you said, well, metaphysically, my view of reality is that the upper cervical spine has unique characteristics, and it is where the primary subluxation is as a result of how stress would adversely affect a person's nervous system, spinal tension, cord tension, dentate ligament attachment, misalignment of the upper cervical spine, etc., which would have deleterious effects to the entire health and well-being of that human being. How do I know that? Because I've studied the upper cervical spine. I've my knowledge of anatomy, physiology, biology, the research articles I've written, etc., all lead me to saying that it validates that metaphysical view. So now what should I do? As a chiropractor, I should have an entire process to evaluate the upper cervical spine and then make care plan recommendations based on correction of upper cervical subluxation. Politically, what would I do? I would fight for the rights of upper cervical chiropractors to practice in the way they do. So that's what I fight for. And then aesthetically, what do? I learn the art of the adjustment to apply to a patient upper cervically. So that's just an example of a very down and dirty lineup. Now, if I'm a Gonstetter, it starts differently. I look at my metaphysical view of the spine and how it works as an entire unit, completely, not just the upper cervical spine. Why do I think it? What am I going to do about it? You write on down the line. So basically, you get to organize, or you should be able to organize your philosophy in a way that starts you at a point A, which is a view of reality. And as you move through your philosophy, you end up landing at a place where you are now practicing something in your life, in this case, chiropractic, what we talked about, in a particular way based on what your philosophical views are. And it's not like one is right and one is wrong. It's just a matter of lining it all up and then, making sure that you're being congruent or consistent with it. Now, this can go for anything. So, I've created what I call the philosophy formula. We've had chiropractors all over the world have done the course, but the idea of the philosophy formula is asking those 3 questions. What do I believe? Why do I believe it? And what am I going to do about it? It's pretty simple, but applying it can get very complex. It's like if you're a parent and you have young children, well, when it comes to parenting, what do you believe? Why do you believe that? And now what are you going to do? If you're in a love relationship, I've been through a divorce. I'd like to have my next relationship work out a lot better. Well, what do you believe about relationships? Why do you believe that? And now what are you going to do? What are your behaviors going to be in that relationship? When it comes to money, you could ask it. So you could see that it gets very complex when you start to recognize how many dimensions of life there are, how many important categories of life there are, and how you need to not only have a philosophy in each of those categories, but you have to take all those categories and make sure those philosophies aren't contradicting each other so that you don't end up fighting against yourself to try to create the life you want to create. So you can see how it takes a lot of work. One thing I would offer for the people who are watching this is if you go to philosophyformula.com, I have 3 free videos there. So you can get a deeper sense. Each video is about an hour long or so. It's free to, so you don't have to buy anything. But you can see how I look at applying philosophy or the philosophy formula to new patients. how to apply the philosophy formula to money, how to apply the philosophy formula just to the general, your view of life in general. So there's 3 videos there that could take you deeper. If any of this is resonating with you, that'd be a good next step.
Well, thank you for that offer. That's very generous of you to do that. So when it's obvious that when we speak together, whether it's having dinner in Rome or speaking now on Skype, you live that.
Incidentally, I prefer the dinner in Rome, but this is just.
I know that I live a level of certainty that's very, very strong. But I also know that in the past, when I was learning, there were times that were not quite certain. There were times that were a little bit more fearful. And my question to you is, how did you and how do you, if it still occurs, how do you deal with any fear that might actually interfere with your expression of living your life vision?
Well, there's a few things. First off, certainty is not sort of nominal. It's either you have it or you don't. Certainty is a degree. So, I don't know that anybody's ever 100%, let's say with chiropractic, 100% uncertain. And I don't know that you can ever be certain to a point where there's no more certainty to gain. I think it's just a matter of where are you on the continuum, right?
Yes, agreed.
So with that, we all have. There's no, you hear the term fearless or fearless leaders. I think that's almost a psychopathological state. I think fears are appropriate and healthy in certain circumstances. Now, there are unhealthy fears, unwarranted fears. Those are also psychopathological. But ultimately, I believe when you have fear or anxiety, these are clues to maybe areas of your life you need to investigate on a deeper level. I have a fear that my relationship's not going to work out. Why would you have that fear? Maybe we have to find out what is you probably have some contradictions in your views on relationships that you need to work on. So it tells you that you have a place to go work. I have a fear that my chiropractic care is not adequate. Okay, why would you think that? Maybe we have to let's go back and now start to build better confidence through, and where do you think that comes from? It comes from your thinking. It comes from your philosophy. Success is all here. It starts all here. Everything that you do beyond that in the physical action is just an expression of what's going on here, good or bad. So this is why philosophy is so important. You organize your thinking, your mind, etc. I think it's somewhat ubiquitous in the personal development world, but it's said that all growth lives outside your comfort zone, right? Within your known experience, there's no growth there for you. So you need to move outside of your comfort zone to discover new things and to explore new things and to expand, if you will. However, something that accompanies going outside your comfort zone is fear. When you're getting to the edge of your comfort zone, you feel anxiety, you feel fear, you feel those things. So the way that we used to handle this in some of our programs that we did would be the idea of being afraid and taking a step anyway. So I'm not telling people, oh, drop your fear, or you're some kind of a wimp if you can't get over your fear. It's a matter of saying, can you experience the fear and still do what needs to be done anyway? And we used to do ropes courses to kind of how can I put it, to express that or to create a physical metaphor for that particular action. So it might be, for example, let's talk about it in chiropractic in ways that the people who are watching this would understand. You might say, I used to sell visits, 1 visit at a time or in small packages of 6 at a time or something like that. But looking at what I really believe and what I think is the best thing for the patient, I realized that I really should put them into a care plan. And that care plan is 6 months. That care plan is 12 months, whatever it is. But that's based on some philosophical premises that you hold and some validation of those premises through your science or your epistemology, et cetera. So, but let's say you concluded that the right thing to do is to give, Jill's my patient. I want him to have a 12-month care plan. That is really the moral thing for me to do. And I'm not telling the truth, and I'm not expressing what I know to be true if I do something other than that. So, but I worry about what Jill is going to think of me or say, or how he's going to react if I suggest 12 months of care. I've never done that before. Maybe I'm short on cash myself, and I don't know that I could invest in a 12-month care plan. Yet here I am sitting across from Jill, and the right thing for me to do is to say, here's the care plan we recommend based on what we found, blah, 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 blah. That's getting out of your comfort zone. So I'm not saying don't be afraid to do it. You probably should have some anxiety around that the first time. What I am saying is be afraid and do the right thing anyway. And the first time you do it, you're going to probably shake a little. You might even suck at doing it. But here's what I have found working with thousands of chiropractors over time is that they do it and the person says yes, and they're flabbergasted. They'll call, oh my God, you can't! I just gave a $4,000 care plan and the person gave me a credit card. I'm blown away. So it's like, and then the next one got easier, and it gets to a point where now what used to be a fear turns into a fear of not doing it. Meaning, if I did it any other way, I would feel really bad about myself as a human being and a chiropractor. So here's the final, maybe the summation in the way that I see it. If your fear is bigger than your purpose, fear wins. If your purpose is bigger than your fear, purpose wins.
Wouldn't that be great that everybody would choose at all times just to be honest and to be on purpose? And as I mentioned earlier, a big part of why we're doing these modules and why we're hosting Life Vision is to help people get really, really clear on what your life vision is, each individual. Because when you become clear on your life vision, which we can coin as when you become clear on your purpose, everything else is pale by comparison, isn't it? Everything is pale by comparison when you're clear on your purpose.
That's exactly right. And it's hard to get clear on your purpose. Sometimes you how can I put it? You question your purpose. You've had it for a while, and then you're wondering, is this what? That's a part of the human experience. Listen, we all are. We all have to surrender to the mystery of life. We're orphans who don't know who our parents are. Here we do. We exist. We don't know how we came to exist. We have beliefs about it, etc. We have debate about it, but ultimately, there's this innate sense of purpose that I think we all carry, and it might change over time. When I was I've gone through 3 acts in my career. Act 1 was practice. When I was giving up my purpose and practice to go into CLA and develop the technology and the programs, that was like a big change for me as far as my sense of purpose. When I sold CLA to get into Action Potential Holdings after 22 years, that was another soul-searching moment, and it's out of the comfort zone, etc. So you will go through iterations, but ultimately, if you could get clear on your purpose and add a commitment to that clarity, your purpose grows. You'll see that it dwarfs fear, and you'll be able to overcome fear on an ongoing basis. When you're confused about your purpose, or if you're in survival mode, survival is your only purpose, then fear is always going to overcome all these other things. You're just going to worry about surviving.
We've heard different acronyms for fear, and the one that I heard many, many years ago, false evidence appearing real. And then a couple of years ago, I heard another one. It was like face everything and rise. And you're talking really about face everything and rise. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. And a final question for this module would be, what's your best advice to people who are interested in discovering and expressing their life vision?
Well, my best advice is to get clear on your philosophy and purpose. A lot of people think it's certain personality profiles that cause their success. I'm an introvert. Therefore, these extroverts go out there and they express their life vision and they're on fire, etc. Here's the funny thing. My bias, if you look at just kind of my natural tendency, is I'm introverted, and people who know me know that. I'm maybe what people would refer to as an omnivert, meaning I get extroverted when I have to be, like right now, having this conversation with you. I'm expressive, I'm more extroverted. But if you're like a stranger and you show up in a hotel and you get in the elevator with me, I'm looking down at the floor and kind of in the corner. I flew to Rome. I just was with you in Rome not long ago. I had a seatmate next to me on the flight all the way over there. I didn't say a single word to the person. Some people think like, oh, I'm the guy that gets on the plane. Hey, what's your name? My name's Patrick. Hey, have you ever seen a chiropractor? Blah, blah, blah. You know, they might think that I'm that way. I'm not. If somebody opens up a conversation, I engage. I'm not socially awkward necessarily, but I am also not just a natural extrovert. What causes my extroversion is my passion in my purpose. And if somehow I'm not in a circumstance where my passion and my purpose are not going to be expressed, I turn into a complete introvert. So it's not, are you an amiable? Are you a driver? Are you an expressive, an analytical? All those types of people succeed. The thing they all have in common is a purpose that's clear to them and a passion that drives it. And I don't care what the other details are, you win. So the best thing you can do is to get clear on that. I mean, that's why, that's one of the things, I do in my career now, through philosophy formulas, as I mentioned earlier, is to help people create that clarity, because when it happens, it's like magic and transformation. Because I'm always getting the questions on the procedures, and procedures are important, but not if you don't know your philosophy and purpose. The procedures are meaningless until you get there.
So you heard it, friends, from Dr. Patrick Gentempo. Get clear on your purpose. Your life vision will also become crystal clear, and you get to live the life that many of you have just dreamt of living. So welcome to this module again of the Life Vision Project. Please stay on with us. Listen to all of them. Work. And Patrick, again, thank you so very, very much. I know how crazy your schedule is, and the fact that you took the time to be with us today means a lot. So love and appreciate you, my friend, and look forward to chatting the next time we get together.